So in today's video, I'm sharing what is people-pleasing, signs and solutions for speaking up. So in this video, you're going to learn what is people-pleasing and when it starts to hurt you so you know what to do next. But if you're new, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So what is people-pleasing? It's basically focusing on pleasing others by trying to do what you think they want you to do in order to get love in return. This is a very unspoken expectation that gets us into trouble. So people-pleasing in and of itself is not necessarily an unhealthy behavior. It only becomes unhealthy and dysfunctional when you do it when you should be taking care of yourself. When you're a people pleaser, you're hyper-focused on meeting someone else's needs, but you're not paying attention to your own needs. And that's where it can bleed into codependency. So here are some common signs of people-pleasing. The first one is pleasing others in hopes of getting love or validation in return. Trying to make others happy even when it hurts you. Agreeing with other people even when it's not really true for you. Spending a lot of time trying to figure out what other people want instead of knowing what you want. And avoiding saying or doing certain things because you're afraid it'll upset the other person. So on the outside, people-pleasing makes you look really good. You probably have an amazing reputation of being flexible and accommodating and giving, and that's why it's hard to give up people-pleasing, because we get known for it, and it becomes a part of our identity. But here's the thing, you don't have to stop giving. You just have to have some healthy boundaries in place. You have to learn how to start putting your needs first, because when you're giving to other people and you're never giving to yourself, there's going to be some consequences. And some of those consequences are, in relationships, you might feel invisible, like your needs don't count, because you're basically pretending to be something you're not by pleasing others and never speaking up about what you actually need. Also, you might feel overwhelmed or anxious a lot, because when we're people-pleasing, we're over-giving, and that can lead to feeling anxious. People-pleasing can also make you feel less than, like your needs don't count. And it actually teaches other people how to treat us. Because if we're neglecting our own needs for others, they're learning that, hey, Michelle doesn't care about her needs, so I won't either. And again, this isn't a conscious process, but it's the message you're sending when you put other people's needs ahead of your own. So here are some ways to stop people-pleasing. 1, you need to be honest with yourself. Are you tired of people-pleasing all the time? Is there something you're willing to do differently today? Because again, it doesn't mean you have to stop people-pleasing altogether, but it does mean you need to put your needs in the equation so that you count. So the way you can do this is to acknowledge what you need. So I want you to think about all your relationships right now. What are some needs that you have never let yourself have or express or even think about? I want you to make a list right now of what things would you want from your best friend or your family member or someone in your life that you've never said, hey, you know what, this is what's important to me. Because by acknowledging what you need, that's going to help you start to heal and eventually speak up for yourself. So for instance, the next time someone asks you for a favor, do you want to say no? Do you want to give less? So you're still saying yes, but you're not giving as much as you normally would. That might be a starting point for you, because part of what's going to make this easier for you is to take baby steps, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. So the next way you can stop people-pleasing is learn how to recognize and honor your no. So whenever someone asks you something and you really don't want to do it, what is your body telling you? For me, I start to clench my jaw and I start to feel a tightness in my chest. Even if you still say yes, I want you to pay attention to your body and recognize where your no is. Is it a muscle tension? Is it your teeth clenching? Is it silence? Is it saying something that you typically say, oh sure, that's fine, but really in your heart of hearts, you want to say no? I want you to recognize those signs, because the first step in saying no is recognizing what your no actually is. So the next step I want you to do to stop people-pleasing is I want you to practice saying what you need to the people who are safest to you. This could be a difference of opinion. This could be something that you normally wouldn't express. Because when we're people pleasing, we're actually not being honest. We're pretending to be something we're not. So I want you to think about what are some opinions or feelings you have that you can start to express. And what's going to make this easier is I want you to do it with safe people first. Don't do it with the people who you know aren't going to be receptive. And let's face it, most of us know the difference between who in our life is going to be receptive and who isn't. I want you to start with the people who are going to be willing to hear you, who actually want to hear how you feel about something, because those are the people you're going to gain confidence with because you're going to practice with them. One way to do this is if they ask you where you want to eat, instead of saying, oh, wherever you want, actually think of a restaurant you'd want to go to. Think of a movie you'd want to go to. Start inserting your opinion just a little bit here and there, because you're going to start to notice when you're doing that the other person is going to be receptive. And again, because you're starting to do this with safe people, you're going to start to gain confidence, realizing that it's okay for you to express your truth and to have needs in your relationships. So the next thing you need to do to stop people pleasing is let go of the guilt. Because at the heart of someone who people pleases is self-doubt. We can assume that the other person's needs are more important than ours. Their thoughts, their opinions are smarter than ours. And that's actually not true. So we have to get rid of that I should take care of them mentality, or I should put their needs first. They're more important than I am. Because let me tell you, they're not. You count as much as that other person. But if you don't start to count for yourself, that other person is likely not going to respect what you need, because you're teaching them that what they need is more important than what you need. And I don't want that for you. Because by choosing to take care of yourself first, giving becomes a healthy choice, not an obligation. If you've ever struggled with people pleasing, say me too in the comments. I'm right there with you, but this is going to help. The next thing you need to do to stop people pleasing is stop assuming the worst. This is super common. We might tell ourselves, oh my gosh, if I don't say yes, they're going to get mad at me, or they're going to leave me, or the relationship is going to be doomed, or we're going to have a big fight. And let's face it, if you do this with safe people first, the likelihood of it causing a negative reaction is going to be really small. And what I've learned is I had to look at my own negative assumptions. I assumed people were going to be mad at me, but it had nothing to do with them. It had to do with people back in my childhood that always got angry at me. So I was reacting from something in my past in the present, and it didn't help me. It actually hurt me. So what I want you to do is take a minute and write down what are some typical negative assumptions you make when you think of putting yourself first. It's selfish. It's not okay. The other person's going to be mad at me. The relationship is going to have a conflict. What are those negative assumptions that you're making that are probably false evidence appearing real? Now, another part of people pleasing is learning how to validate yourself. So that your next step is I want you to go watch my video on learning the difference between internal and external validation. Thanks so much.